Want to know what the movers and shakers of New Hampshire's performing arts are thinking? Welcome to New Hampshire Unscripted with your host, Ray Dudley.
Now, you have a great voice. Do you do voiceover? Or
I do not.
You don't?
No. No, it's never come up. But
Oh, okay.
Thanks. Could be something I should look into.
Maybe, I don't know.
If you know anybody, let me know.
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to ask you the same question.
No, I don't know. I don't know anybody, but it would be nice to be able to do it. So,
Ready to rock?
I am ready to rock.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then talk about maybe your beginning of how you got involved with.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping that I'll be able to ask you questions as well. I'm interested as much in what you have to say, more interested in what you have to say than what I have to say.
We'll find out. But go ahead.
So, okay. So we're ready to go, or?
Yeah, we're running.
Oh, we are. Oh.
Yeah. You don't have to wear the headset at all.
Oh, great. Super. Then I always put this off to the side then.
Set that.
So how did you get involved in theater then? Are you New Hampshire born and native, or?
No, so I was born in Boston.
Oh.
And then and went to schooling in Boston, and ended up junior high in Wilmington, Massachusetts. I had my first kind of little touch at public speaking, but it wasn't until high school that I actually got the bug.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had I think it was my senior year. We had a senior class play, and we kind of did some stuff, but then it was their first time having a drama club, and the drama teacher wanted to take us out. She took us to a community theater group in North Reading. I think
Colonial Players, perhaps?
I think no, it was more like an Indian name.
No?
The Algonquin.
Panaquatic?
Maybe it was. Yeah, in North Reading. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's about right.
And
they've been around for a while. So.
Okay, yeah, it's probably them then. And they were having a night of one acts.
Oh.
And
that's always an adventure.
Yeah, well, it was for me. So I was a student who had never seen theater in my life. Mm-hmm. Never, ever, ever. And I went, and we saw, the one that stood out the most to me was they did a cut from Night of the Iguana.
Oh. Ah.
And it absolutely captivated me. I had never seen anything like it. So it's like a 3D hologram, right, to somebody who had never seen it. And I'm watching, and I was just, it was a jungle scene, and with the reverend, and I could swear, even to this day, I could feel humidity in the air. Just that jungle, it had so sucked me in. I just could not believe, in my simple little mind, it was like somebody just literally cut out a section of a jungle, brought it into this building, and set it down. Now, it wasn't, but I was that captivated by what had happened. And so I didn't I never went to college for theater. I never did any of that. I did do theater in college, and that re-solidified my love for it. And then I went on, and for the rest of my life, in and out of theater pretty much till now. So
very good.
That's my background. How about you?
Yeah, I did a little public speaking through the 4-H clubs in the area had a speaking contest, and I got involved in that. And this was grade school, and I didn't really do much of any theater because in the part of the world that I grew up in, guys didn't do theater. It was only the really smart guys who did theater because that's where all the women were, of course. But so I didn't do much except where my mom worked. She worked in a school several towns over from where I grew up, and she was the librarian there, and she said, "Oh, they're doing a summer show. Why don't you go over and audition?" And so I said, "Okay." So I went over and I got a small part. My sister got the lead, and so I did that for a summer. Yeah, it was a good number of years ago now. But I didn't do, and then like 4 years later, I did another show with that same organization. Didn't do really anything until like 25 years ago or so, and I saw a poster in the library, and I was sort of saying to myself, I'm watching way too much TV. I got to get out and do something. And so I saw this poster, and I said, I did a little theater. I kind of enjoy singing. It was a musical version of Miracle on 42nd Street, 34th Street. Here's Love, Meredith Willson, and
the Music Man.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. And in fact, that was my first show, Music Man.
Oh.
But so I got cast as, ensemble, multiple named characters, and so I went on play to play, and I guess it was the interest of doing something new, the excitement of something new, and eventually it became apparent that I probably, I am a guy, so that means I'm castable almost, for anything. But it was just easier to get into production, and so from there I did one of the guys I did theater with, sort of arm wrestled me into producing a summer show, a small show, and that seemed to go pretty well. And so then I ended up on some organizational boards, and then I ended up producing more shows, and so that's really how I got where I am. So.
And where was this? Is this
Nashua?
Okay.
Nashua, yeah.
Right, so you're a New Hampshire native?
No, I only moved here like 30 years ago or so.
Oh, got you.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that guys didn't do a lot of theater, or wasn't the thing to do. When I was in college, I actually I was on the gymnastic team.
Oh,
and
wow.
Well, not because I was very good. There's a story behind that. But,
yeah.
So I was on the gymnastic team and doing theater. And the coach of the gymnastic team found out I was doing theater. And I don't know, it was because maybe there was a meet coming up, but they never played me. I was never in the gymnastic meets because I just wasn't any good.
Yeah. But
anyway, he found out I was on the theater group, and he gave me an ultimatum. He said, "Theater's for sissies. You need to make a decision. You're either going to do gymnastics or you're going to do theater."
Yeah.
So I quit gymnastics.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I didn't make a career out of theater either, but it was interesting, the thought process back then.
Yeah. That was kind of my thought process. But I attributed mostly because I was, young and dumb. But that's great. You're in gymnastics now. Did you have good upper body strength?
Well, I was. So in high school, I was a long-distance runner.
Oh, okay.
And this was in Wilmington, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran 2 Boston marathons. That was back when you had to sneak in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you couldn't just jump in like you can nowadays, and it was all regulated. And if they caught you, they'd yank you right out. So I had to sneak in both times. But I ran it, and
you finished? You crossed the line?
Yeah. So the first year it took me 4.5 hours, and the second year it took me 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Oh wow!
So
that's some good improvement.
Yeah, it was actually. Well, the first time I had done it was just for jokes. I kind of wanted to do it, but I had no idea what 26 miles was.
Oh God, yeah.
I was just a kind of a cross country kid, very skinny, weighing 115, 120.
Yeah. So how were your legs at the end? I mean, were they all beat
My
up?
feet were all blistered, especially the first time.
But your shins?
They didn't bother me, no, because what I had done was I had started, I knew I was going to have to run a long distance, so I was skipping long distance practice to go run on my own, because just to run cross country, you're only doing 2 or 3 miles.
Yeah.
So I would go out and run. First I'd go run 5 miles, and then next day I'd run 5.5, and then I kept incrementing it up until one day I got out halfway, and it was going to be the same distance back as it was to finish going this circle I had been on, and it turned out to be a 15-mile run.
Oh wow!
It was crazy. And so I was able to do that and kept doing that. And so I had built up my shins didn't bother me at all.
Oh,
it's not like I never had run long distance and decided to run it.
Yeah.
So I did both. The second year I did it, I knew now, geez, this what this is all about, and trained a little bit better for it. That's why I cut 45 minutes off the time. So when I graduated high school, I went down. I was going to go to Boston State Teachers College, which was down in Roxbury, Mass. And I went down there to run cross country. And as I was, before the school year started, I went down this summer to kind of tour the campus, and I happened to walk by this gym. Now, I had never seen, in Wilmington, we didn't have rings and a pommel horse and all that stuff. I had never seen that
Really?
stuff. Yeah. And I go and I walked by this gym, and I was fascinated by there was nobody in there, but it looked really cool. And so I met some of the people who were on the gymnastic team. I decided I'm not going to run long distance anymore. They let me come in and train with them. And this gets to your question about strength and everything. Well, I went from a skinny little kid, long distance runner. I had bulked up because it's all upper strength for the most part, except if you're doing floor or something. And man, in a year or two, it was amazing. Especially back then, I was 18, 19 years old. So testosterone's flowing, my body's just adapting. Yeah. It was really pretty fascinating.
Did you work the rings at all? Or?
I did some rings, I did some pommel horse, and a little bit of parallel bars. I couldn't do the high bar because I have a fear of heights.
Really?
Yeah, and it just scared me, going around in circles, just holding onto this bar. I've seen guys let go. That's not a pretty sight when they crash.
Yeah.
So I pretty much stuck to things that didn't require too much height.
So were you able to do like a cross, with the rings?
Yeah,
Man.
By the time I was done.
Wow.
And it's funny how your body adapts to those things, right? And so, the cross, and then those pegboards. They have those pegboards.
Oh yeah.
First time I couldn't even get up like 2 or 3 pegs. By the time I was done, it was like up and down, up and down, up and down. That's fascinating how a young body can.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
So that was my introduction. So I was more like a mascot.
Yeah.
Because I really wasn't any good. These guys were all doing it in high school and in junior high, and so by the time they get to college.
Could you walk on your hands?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, backflips on the floor and all that.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
I always...
Not anymore.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cute. That's always, that fascinates me, being able to walk. I mean, that's perhaps a goal I should work towards somehow.
Yeah. It's crazy, though, the stuff you see. That's a dangerous sport at times.
Oh, God, yeah.
We had...
some injuries, really.
Yeah. We went to one meet, and... a friend of ours was doing the vault. He would run down. This one time in this meet, he hit the vault perfectly. So he ran down, hit the springboard, bounced off the horse, and he was going up. And as he went up, he was perfectly timed, but he had never done it perfectly timed before. And so he opened and then reclosed, but he was continuing his rotation.
Yeah.
And so as he should have been landing and had already opened up, but he waited and over-rotated and came down and broke his neck.
Oh,
you could hear the neck snap right there in the meat. He was paralyzed for life.
Oh, God.
Quadriplegic after that.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Wow.
That made me really...
Yeah, I'm done. That would warn me away from the horse. And,
back to running for me.
Vaulting. Yeah.
So that was my whole thing there.
Do you do any running now? Or?
I do not. I'm too big. I love to run, but now I have come down with injuries from running. Oh. And so even though...
As a result of your teenage years? Or
I think just a lot of pummeling, just a real concrete... Because I love to run. I love the endorphin. I love being out there with my mind just freewheeling and everything.
It's very meditative.
Yeah. But I injured myself once, and ever since then, even though I think it's healed, I can wait years and go back out, and within months I re-injure the same area. And it's in my calf or my shin, somewhere down there. Yeah. So I'm stuck doing things like the elliptical machine, walking, stuff like that. So no running though. Yeah. Too much weight to be pounding on.
Yeah.
So that's me. So, thank you for asking.
No, you're welcome. No, it's very interesting.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
So to get back to the original point so he gave me this ultimatum. Now, I had no idea as a teenager that there was this stigma because I knew nothing about theater, right? And I just did the senior class play, and then I go see this night of one acts. So I had no idea this stigma. And I was really stung by his attitude that I had to make this choice.
Yeah.
It was, talk about a crazy.
That's pretty bizarre for a college that nobody's heard of and such a low level.
Yeah.
You could see if you were like at UCLA and the you know,
Right.
or whoever the national champion is for
Yeah.
gymnastics.
Yeah.
That might make some sense, but
Yeah, it was nothing more than pretty much the mascot. It was really,
Yeah.
really kind of odd.
that was really weird.
And so after that, I just bounced around doing theater off and on. And
Now,
so-
you're a teacher?
No, I'm retired.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't.
You had been a teacher?
So I went to school to be a teacher, but didn't finish college.
Oh, okay.
And I did 2 years and pretty much got married shortly after that. Yeah. So I graduated high school in 72, finished college in like 74, 75. So I met my wife at college, and we got married in 76. Been married ever since. 40.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Sounds like it was the better choice. And,
I'm going to say yes, because if she's listening.
yeah, hopefully she is. Somebody's going to be listening.
Now, you said a couple of times, you mentioned the term, the production side of theater.
Yeah.
When you say that, what do you mean by that?
Well, I don't know what your familiarity is with community theater. I gather you do some.
I do a lot of community theater.
Okay, you do some
Yeah.
professional as well as community.
Yeah, I bounce back and forth.
So they have a guy or person generally who's called a producer who, in this level of theater, pretty much arranges everything that's not on stage. So, somebody who finds somebody to set up the show program, finds somebody to sell the ads for the show program, finds somebody to do the costuming, finds somebody to do the lights, finds somebody, all these other various aspects. And of course that's flexible. It could, it's very, unofficial, ad hoc, I guess if you call it. So if your show, some organizations are very well organized and they might have a TD already in place. They might have, guys to do lighting or sound already in place. And that may not be something that you as a producer are concerned about, but you need to get everything that the director needs, hopefully, to be able to put on a show, from first day of rehearsal or before all the way through to the last performance.
So have you worked with more groups than just the...
Actor-singers?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I've been on stage and done other things with, I would say, about 10 or so organizations.
All in southern New Hampshire area?
Pretty much, yeah.
So in various capacities, or just either the producer and actor?
Oh, no, yeah. I've done everything from sell tickets during the performance or at the performance to ushering to being on stage to producing to directing, that type of thing.
You like directing?
I have directed. It is, yeah, I guess I do. I kind of like to tell people where to go. No, I'm probably pretty good at directing somebody else's directing job. Maybe that would be that
Like
would
a
be
backseat driver?
Exactly.
Yeah,
because the thing, I do a lot of adjudicating for New Hampshire Theater Alliance or Theater Awards.
I had Gina in here, Gina and Justin.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, not long ago.
And I also review for, I don't know if you're familiar with the New England Theater Conference. They're a region-wide organization.
Don't they hold auditions for a lot of the...
Yeah, they are the holder of the professional auditions currently down in the hotel in Natick. But they also have this award called Moss Hart Award, which is in honor of Moss Hart, the playwright. And they also review shows as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I've reviewed for them as well. And so I've seen a good number of shows. And so, you know, after a certain number of shows, you begin to say, identify things that you like and things that you don't like, and it's so. I'm very good. Like I said, I'm very good at directing somebody else's directing job. Because I mean, it's just like things like people facing backstage. When they're speaking. And which may be appropriate at times when you're trying to create that mood, but most of the time your face is your billboard. It's your average, it's
kind of important to face the audience.
It's what you're communicating to the audience is on your face. I mean, and you get a lot of 3/4 or half, people in profile and everything, and you're like, geez, and people with dialogue, it sort of gives the impression that they're just trying to get out the words, instead of trying to say the words. So they will, there'll be monotone, or there'll be things that your character is trying to say that could be improved or emphasized by, pausing. Not saying anything for 10 seconds or 5 seconds or whatever, and continuing on, or that type of thing. It's just small little details that really sort of, I'm like, it's like people, pauses are like a big thing for me, because I mean, people don't, it's like they're trying to get through that paragraph of dialogue, and it's like, you got to show that you're thinking as a character. You got to show that you're a human being, not just a guy standing up there, trying to remember what he's supposed to say next.
It's a very good point. A very good point. One of the things that I've noticed lately, and I don't know why people are doing it, but they will face the audience for all their dialogue, and then turn for their cue or whatever. And it really bothers me. Not professionals. I mean, because when you see it a lot, I think, in high schools, especially, where they're looking at the other people on stage, but then when they go to say their lines, they turn and face the audience as though they need to be projecting that way, and then they turn back to their.
Well, I would sometimes take that over.
Well, I'm with you there.
Somebody's, like seeing a quarter of their face or only half their face. Because that's the, I mean, that to me, I get it. You don't want to make it look artificial. You want to make it kind of look natural in a way. And of course, I guess that's the job of the actors, to make their facing out look natural.
Yeah.
But and I don't think people. In our little community, understand that their entire body is their tool in their, describing or to telling their story to the audience. Their posture, their hand motions, their, how they walk, anything like that is all descriptive of, in addition to your costume and your hair and your makeup.
Right.
But, these physical attributes of your actor is what's communicating who this character is supposed to be. It's not the guy who's standing on stage, it's the character that they're trying to portray.
Have you seen, since we're on kind of adjudication, have you seen a difference over the years, or is it just kind of the same foibles all the time that bother you? I mean, has there been any trends towards...
Not really. Not that I can think of. None that really immediately come to mind. That's a very good question. I should probably... It's too bad I wasn't thinking about it. But I do think that I do... I personally think it's a... I like the New Hampshire Theatre Alliance or New Hampshire Theatre Awards because I think it's a great idea to creating a community within the state of New Hampshire, and gets people out. If only just in handfuls. You go up to... I saw plays at Upstage in, I think, Lebanon, in Littleton, right across the... right up next to Vermont.
Yep.
And very excellent excellent job up there. I think it was a Neil Simon that they did. It was very nice, very nice. And then, you wouldn't necessarily have a reason to travel 2.5 hours to go see a Neil Simon, but this was a good excuse.
I agree. I adjudicated for like a year, but for the same reason, it got me out of my community. I was able to go to North Conway and see stuff.
Oh yeah, M&D was it?
Yeah, M&D.
Oh.
But they do some great stuff up there.
I tell you, I'll tell you, it was the first year New Hampshire Theater Awards, and just a little backstory. When I was going to high school, we did the Glass Menagerie. I mean, we read the Glass Menagerie, and I'm like, Tennessee Williams. Yeah. Okay, he's depressed. Okay, he's probably a cocaine addict. All right, great. We get it. And then I go to college and my freshman English course. What are we doing?
Oh my God.
Glass Menagerie. And this guy was in love with the Glass Menagerie, and I'm like trying to write these ridiculous theme papers on Glass Menagerie. And so by the time I was done with college, it was only one course, so it was, it wasn't that bad. But by the time I was done with my college English course, I was pretty much done with Glass Menagerie. Well, fast forward 20 number of years later, and Matty Gregg and I were going to go up to see M&D productions of the Glass Menagerie. So I had not seen it done on stage. I'd only read it and, probably listened to pieces of dialogue on records, those things that they used to have back
I remember those.
And so I'm really dating myself here. But anyway, so we got up there, it's the Glass Menagerie, and man, I tell you, it just blew my doors off.
Yeah.
I mean, I just it was... I'm sitting there going, yeah, okay, Glass Menagerie.
Isn't that funny, huh?
Yeah, I tell you, boy,
in the right hands.
Yeah, I tell you, it was Ken...
Martin?
Yes, Ken Martin.
Yeah.
Was the young man, and I forget who the mother was, but she had done some professional work in like TV westerns out in L.A. back
Bonanza?
in her youth. Acting youth, and boy, she was good, and it was, and the thing was that M&D, I mean, such energy because they had
in a little theater,
such production energy because they had actually, it was in Washington of all places. Was it Jefferson? Washington? Anyway, it was one of the towns up there that was so small that they built this theater, a raked stage or space.
Oh, so they weren't in the little strip mall at that time.
No, they built a raked performance seating area in the town hall.
Wow.
Yeah. They built that, and if you used the restroom, you had to go across the street to the gas station to use the restroom. They had a little convenience store and a gas station across the street, and we were. So but it was a hike up there. Matty, I was grateful that he wanted to carpool, and so he was like breaking every land speed record up there trying to, because we were late for some reason, and maybe we just misjudged the amount of time it would take. But they held the door for us, so that was nice. Very nice. I mean, it wasn't like egregious. It wasn't incredibly late. But
now they've come a long way. They've got that new facility.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, they did have a performance venue at that time, but for some reason they were in this town and they had built. Maybe they were homeless at the moment. At that moment. But anyway, great production. Very well. I was said, gee, well, it was part of my education. I mean, it told me that, despite what you might read in the script and what you might think about the script, see it on stage in the right hands.
I saw Equus up there. I saw Death of a Salesman. Jeez, they just do some...
Yeah.
It just is... And this is before... Now they've moved over to that new Eastern Mountain place.
Oh, okay.
They have a new facility. I'm going to try to get them on, talk with them about it. But they were in the small... And it's just a small theater.
That like a little steeple as you... Little entrance way there. Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating what you can do. So to get back, so adjudicating allowed me to get out and see these groups I would never get out there and see. So I was really glad to be an adjudicator.
Yeah, and I also like the idea that you actually have to now sit down and write about it. You have to put your thoughts on paper, and you have to explain to some degree, why it is that you thought it was average or above average or below average, and give the organization some hopefully useful thoughts about
some constructive feedback, hopefully.
Yeah,
they're struggling with that whole process, I think, still.
Yeah, I hope they keep it somewhat the way it is, because I personally find it useful for my own self to in my adjudication career, if you will.
So what do you do for NETC besides review? Do you do anything besides review for the
I have been on their board. I was their vice president of accounting and finance for a while, which I guess is their treasurer, and for a number of years. And I was on the community theater division board.
Do you ever get to sit in on any of the auditions?
Oh yeah. I've helped out down at the auditions. I don't know if have you been down there to the audition?
Oh. No. I've been pushed. People pushing me to go down.
If you might be, because see, the issue.
They need fat old men.
Well,
this is a safe space.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say they need your demographic.
Thank you.
They don't. I mean, because the people who show up down there routinely, not always, routinely, are the young teens or very early 20s. Yeah, college. And so.
Well, that's the impression I get. Is that what it's
Oh yeah, no, but I mean, adults. I would think that if you're an adult and you go down there, you would generate some interest.
Okay.
And there's all sorts of producing companies down there. One year they had this company that produced these. I don't know. I'm not really familiar with the actual material itself, but they're like self-written musicals for the tourist trade in Amish country.
What?
So they would have the Amish man goes to Washington and he straightens everything out, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And so, using the clash of cultures.
That is a niche market.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is they were recruiting for actors to be, it was out in Ohio or something like that, and I'm sure it was like $50 a show or something ridiculous like that for somebody
free
like
cheese or milk.
Yeah, exactly. All the cheese you can possibly eat. have it fried, have it boiled, have it on a
any way you want it.
Have it on a skewer, cocktailed. Toothpicks. But anyway, and then they have, of course, occasionally they have Disney. They have
seriously at the NETCs.
Oh yeah, I mean, looking for
the hidden gem.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's sometimes it sort of feels like that, because a lot of times they come already. They go to SETC, which is the Southeastern Theater Conference, and they hang out in Atlanta. I think that's where they usually have their convention down there, and they hold their convention and their annual auditions in the same venue at the same time, I believe. And so in the March time frame, in time for all of the Tennessee professional theaters and all the other to go down there. But they also go to hold these producing companies that come to NETC's auditions, stop off in New York, and they probably do a little bit of their own advertising, and auditioning on their own for their own shows. But it's if you've never been, regardless of whether it's professional or community or not, I think it's very instructive for anybody who's out on stage to participate or at least sit in on an audition. because you see every bad habit, every
Good point.
that you could possibly, and then you're like, that sucks. Oh, wait a minute, I do that. And so you're like, oh, no wonder why I can't get any roles. Like, I'm too nervous, or I'm wandering around, or I'm rocking back and forth, or I'm like putting my hand on my face, or running my hand in my hair, whatever. I think that's very instructive to your own purposes. So, in Actor Singers, the national organization I participate a lot with that does musicals, and I've been on a number of their audition boards, and you see everything, like I said.
I'll bet.
And
they've been around for a long time.
Oh,
too.
God, yeah. 55.
Are they one of the older? Yeah, I was going to say, they're going to be one of the older groups in the state, aren't they?
Community Players of Concord are the oldest. The Community Players are in the 90. They just passed their 90th birthday a little while ago. So they're like 91 or 2. And Actor Singers is about half their age, so.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. But you see, like I said, you see everything. You see the people, and you're kind of like, praying for them. And then you see people that just stand up and just blow the doors off.
Yeah.
And we had this. I was the chair of the audition board for Jesus Christ Superstar, and we bring them up in groups of 5, and we had this group of 5, and this guy stands up. He was a hairdresser from, I don't know, wherever, Concord area, Manchester area, whatever. Fabulous rock voice, fabulous. And the next guy stood up and said, well, I guess I'm not getting Jesus. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it is amazing what you see. I have seen some painful auditions.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Just cringeworthy. You're like, why are you even here?
Yeah, yeah.
I had a discussion with a friend of mine who... Community theater is very interesting because they accept almost anybody. You really wonder... Some people just don't take stock of whether or not they should be. How do I put this? So, I would no more expect to be on a softball team, not being able to bat.
Yeah.
But yet people will come out to act, never having acted, and nobody ever really kind of tells them that they're not that good, and so they kind of foster this idea that they're not bad, and they continue, and they never get better. And so it's kind of interesting to me that, never mind, I'm going to shut that topic down.
But no, it sort of circles around to the NHCTA, because that is at least, and also New Hampshire Community Theater Association's One Act Festival is, these are rare opportunities to, as an actor or performer of some variety, or as a director, to hear somebody who you potentially don't know,
right,
tell you something that maybe you need to hear, but maybe weren't interested in hearing. Because and there's a lot of, especially in community theater, and after the show, you're out in the hallway and everybody's slapping you on the back, saying, good job, great. Yeah. Of course, what else are they going to say?
I know.
I know. You're my accountant or whatever. Gee, Chuck, you really stink.
Right.
I could have done better than you. You in the third act, you blah blah blah. You're not really interested in that. But I think to a certain extent, I find with the One Act Festival and people being adjudicated that sometimes people shy away from that. And I understand. Hey, this is your spare time, your precious spare time that you've got. Why do you want to feel like you're less than if you're giving it your all and whatnot? But I do also appreciate those opportunities out there, and I hope to, when I adjudicate, provide some some insight
Yeah.
that might be helpful to somebody.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you're also, you mentioned the NHCTA.
That's New Hampshire Community Theater Association. Often confused with NHTA.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
So what is your involvement with the NHCTA?
I'm the president of the organization.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, heavy is the head that wears the crown. You didn't know you were in the presence of greatness,
I
did
did
you?
not. So tell me about the organization. I went out to Facebook to kind of look and see what they do, and I couldn't quite get a handle on what's going on.
To give you a little background, I guess in the 1971, there was let me retrench. NETC, billing itself as a regional organization, sort of sponsored a one-act festival back in the 60s and 70s for all the New England states. But I think after a few years of that, the individual states said, let's just do our own festival, because it's a pain in the keister to drive down to Boston with all your set pieces and costumes and everything. So let's do one in New Hampshire. So they started the New Hampshire Community Theater Association in 1971. And they held their first one-act festival at St. Paul's School in Concord. And in fact, they held the first 2 or 3 there. And then they began rotating around the state. They've done things up in Meredith.
It's strictly one act?
Yes. Okay. Well, what it is the one-act festival is a feeder, if you will, to the New England Regional Festival and eventually to the National Festival for one acts. So New Hampshire Community Theater Association also has done workshops and sponsored various other sundry activities off and on during its life.
But its main support is, or thrust is to support one act?
Event is kind of, these days, it's one event during the year is the one act festival.
Got you.
So the membership, varies between like 25 to 10 or so organizations a year, depending on whether it's a year in which there will be a regional festival. The AACT or National Festival is a 2-year cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So this coming year, the 2020 New Hampshire Community Theater Festival will provide 2 organizations to go on to the New England Regional. And then from the New England Regional, there will be a representative going to the National Festival.
Mm.
So National Festival this cycle is, could be in, I forget where, but it has been everywhere from like Washington State to Florida or whatever. But elsewhere, outside of New England, community theater can be huge. I mean,
like football is, like college football is for Texas, or
it could be huge. I mean, you get organizations like in Florida or Texas or one in Kansas actually. The Topeka Civic Theater is like only 25, 30 years old, and they're talking about their $5 million capital campaign and their $1 million annual budgets. And you look on their website and they've got like 5 or 6 paid employees and a list of part-timers. And this is community theater writ large.
So what is going on? What are they doing literally how are they supporting this, the community theater?
Well, in the case of Kansas, you have perhaps your next community theater 50 miles or 100 miles away from the Topeka Civic Theater. So it is the theater. And it is, a civic activity in their city. So I think they perhaps in New Hampshire, we don't, everything is a little bit closer. There's a lot more resources and opportunities. It's very possible that whatever support there might be for theater or community theater in particular is spread out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
This allows, in case of Kansas, it allows to sort of concentrate. And I think when you get to a certain level, back in the early 80s or whenever they started life, they were all meeting around their kitchen table, and now they've been given an old school building by the city, and they've renovated it into whatever it is that they need, for office space and storage space and performing space. And so when you get to that stage, I think you end up with resources, you find the resources that you need, like grant writers, or marketers, or organizational people that really know how to organize. With us, at least with actor singers, we're relatively large. We have about 200 person membership list or so, but and so we're relatively well established, well funded organization, but we're all lawyers or computer software engineers or housewives or teachers, people who have other things, in their life other than theater, that they're just coming to theater as a hobby.
So if a group, let's say a theater group, decides they want to enter into the One Act Festival, they would approach you, and then what happens?
Oh, they would just put in an application.
Okay.
Send in the application and the entrance fee.
And what are they getting in return?
Well, they're hopefully getting a great venue with good technical support to come and do their performance and get the opinions of 3 different adjudicators.
So you would did they physically get like a packet of information with the guidelines for?
Well, that's what we do. Is for the state, we follow the guidelines for AACT, the national festival, and they have a handbook that's like 90 pages in length, but a good amount of that is forms that you might need in order to submit your package to the state. So, but in like maybe 40, 45, 50 pages of it is widely spaced text on how to go about entering and doing performance that would meet the requirements. Hopefully you're going to meet the requirements of the national festival, because you're going to repeat those, whatever it is that you're doing at the regional level and eventually at the national level. And if you're not meeting the requirements at the state level for the national level, then it's going to be a problem for you if you're selected as a representative to move on to the next level.
So do you have good participation? How many groups typically?
Yeah, I think on the best festival, the largest festival, we've had 10 organizations. I think at one time we had 11 entrants, and that's pretty good. That's like a good 2 days for NHCTA.
But there's over 100 theater groups.
Oh God, yeah. There's I don't know exactly. I think but you're right. There are a good number, and but you have to remember that the One Act Festival is a particular animal. So you need to find an organization that wants to commit the resources to mount a production specifically for this purpose. Or, it could be a piece of your...
Right, a cutting from...
Yeah, it could be a cutting. There's certainly, the whole premise behind the One Act Festival from AACT's point of view is performance. How well you use the elements of theater to perform your piece. So you could do a musical and you could all be off key, but that's not going to be as big a factor. But if you've integrated all the other elements of theater, you got lights going on, you've got set pieces coming in and out, and you got using costumes to good effect and that type of thing, you could very well be the best production that year, despite the fact that your music craft is a little bit less. So they're looking for your best execution using all the elements of theater. So it's for a small group like Lakeside Players, outside of Meredith, with they perform in a little church. I don't know if it's like 90 members, 90 capacity for 90 people in their little performing venue. It might be economically challenging to buy the rights, which would be $100 right off the top for a one act, or maybe $80 for one act. And then go
It's like a royalty for...
Yeah, exactly. And go through all of the costumes and construct a set, and then buy transportation in order to get it down to wherever it is the festival is being held. And then, they might have to stay overnight, they have to feed themselves, all these types of logistical elements might discourage somebody from up north, going through the effort just to hear what the three adjudicators had to say, despite the fact it may be good for them.
Are there certain plays that do better in the one-act festivals than others? Are there like fringe plays that are better than maybe a Cutting from Oklahoma, or
I think
comedies do better than dramas?
Yeah, I think dramas. Yeah, there is a particular animal, particular type of play that really, just like any sport, there are certain things that you eventually. Or cheerleading, I'm sure the cheerleading championships. There's certain things that the adjudicators or the reviewers
it's like their favorite.
Yeah, exactly. They want to see a triple backflip, or they want to see the high pyramid, or whatever it is that cheerleaders do. And if you're not doing that, then you may not, be very successful.
Yeah.
But I think the type of play for AACT. The festival process is probably like a drama.
Mm-hmm.
That's a emotional drama of some kind.
Is there a typical cast size that works best?
I don't think so, but for example, I don't know what the cast size is for Radium Girls, but Radium Girls, are you familiar with Radium Girls in I think it was probably New York, Brooklyn. They used to paint the dials on watches using radium paint, or paint laced with radium. And in order for them to get the numbers as finely as they needed, they had a particular brush. And what they would do with the brush is put it in their mouths and make it come to a point. And so all of these young girls who are in these watch manufacturing factories were essentially poisoning themselves with radium.
Oh my God.
And so they all had, I imagine they had all medical issues.
Yeah, you think?
So, but that was a national winner a number of years ago from, came out of EMAC, I think it was like Burlington Players or something like that, out of Eastern Massachusetts. Community Theater Association. No, I think it was Wells and Players did Radium Girls. And then most recently, an organization in Lexington. Lexington did Who Will Speak for Lana? It's a original piece written about a young African-American woman in the 20s or 30s who was brutalized by her Caucasian landlord or what have you, and she eventually killed him. And this was sort of like a remembrance during her trial, that type of thing, of all of the, she eventually, I think, was convicted and may have been killed by the state for her actions. So anyway, that's the type of, intense drama, can be, emotional, can be successful. The year I went to the National Festival, I saw the winning one was I never saw another butterfly or something to that effect. It's about a bunch of kids in a German concentration camp.
Oh,
so yeah, exactly.
So much,
exactly.
So light.
But but at any rate, it is an interesting. I mean, I personally, I am happy that the process is there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to support the process any way that I can. I don't personally put a huge amount of stock in, winning or losing. I mean, I've directed and I've actually been successful. I went on to the regional with my piece, and which was nice. I really was happy for the
Yeah.
participants in our show and everything, but I was like, okay. But I think the process is valuable, regardless of whether you win or lose. And I know some people are like, I've heard that before. And
Well, so why do you think that? Why do you think the process is valuable? Is it because you're trying to, because of the time constraints and what you're trying to work into?
No, I think it gives you, as we were, alluding to before, it gives you an opportunity, a very rare opportunity to actually hear somebody who doesn't know you hear how you're acting, how you're directing. All your actors were speaking their very consequential emotional lines, speaking to the backdrop, It would have been nice to see a little bit of that,
So where are your adjudicators coming from?
Well, we get college professors, or we had Lowell. We had Lowell Williams as an adjudicator. We had Mike Curtis as an adjudicator. So folks who have had a good number of years in the back, with background in theater. We have been using a guy from Fitchburg down in Massachusetts quite a bit. We used a woman from Franklin Pierce. They had a theater program there.
Do they reach out to you, or you seek them out?
Yeah, we just seek them out and say, hey, it's more of a, for them, it's more of a, I think, an opportunity to pass on the torch, if you will. Because, we can't afford them to give them any real money.
Yeah.
We just reimburse their mileage, and we give them, a couple of bucks, and we give them, food while they're on the premises, and try to help make their day as pleasant as possible. But I think from their point of view, it's the labor of love of passing on what they know about theater, what they feel that they may have learned to other folks, who are doing this as a hobby, but might be able to benefit.
Are you finding enthusiasm for One Act to be vibrant, or does it have its peaks and troughs? Are there some years where you're like, geez, we can't get 4 groups in here, but other years you get 15?
Yeah, it definitely matters whether it's a regional year, there's an opportunity to go on to the regional festival or not. I think that helps drive participation to a certain degree. But I think, otherwise, I think it's pretty static. I think there are those people who see value in it and those people who don't. And those people who see value in it, I think, eventually seek us out.
So with 100+ theater groups in the state, do you actively try to get them to participate? Do you approach them as your organization?
Yes. As president, I try to make it my business to get out and touch base with organizations that we haven't heard from ever before, and because I think NHCTA is a great resource for, we have the Facebook page nowadays with the technology of Facebook, but before we had a Yahoo group which posted announcements, or you could ask, hey, I need an electrician for the show, or I need a director for the show, or I need an actor. We just had an actor drop out, or we need a costume piece. Does anybody know where we can find it, Or somebody just putting out their audition notices, and if you sort of, keep in the back of your mind saying, oh, wait a minute, Manchester Community Theater Players just did Music Man. That's where I can go find somebody who's got the Harold Hill suitcase or whatever, they'd be able to tell us where they got theirs, or that type of thing.
So this year, when does it happen? Did it already happen this year?
Not yet. Well, we've already had our festival this year in September. We had it in the Rochester Opera House, the historic Rochester Opera House.
Yeah.
Very nice venue.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. You've never been there?
No.
Oh, you should check it out sometime.
I don't get out of my cave much.
Yeah.
I need to get out.
Even if you just go and the town hall is in the Opera House, so you can just go and check it out. It's probably a venue unique in all the world in that its floor moves. And yeah, the floor moves. It can be raked to hold a performance, or it can be flat to hold a dance.
Was it on hydraulics?
Well, they've got a mechanism. It's like a turn of the century, 19th century mechanism. That's electric motor, I think, and it's a series of pulleys and whatnot. It's really quite interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And here you are, a long-time New Hampshire resident, and you're not familiar with the Rochester?
I did not get out of my...
No, there's only... it's interesting because you go there, and you... when the floor is flat, and you see these doors that are up like 3 or 4 feet up in the air, and that's because those are the entranceways for the seating when the...
How surreal that would be.
Yeah. Open the doors like, oh, fall into the theater.
So you had your...
Yeah, we had our festival.
In September.
Yeah, we had, I think we had 5 organizations, and it was nice little turnout.
5 would be one day? Is that one day's event?
One day event, yeah. We get everybody who participates, all the organizations that participate, all the shows that participate, have an opportunity to use the stage for 80 minutes before we start performing. So they get there on a Friday night, or we've had as early as Thursday if we have a big festival.
And so they can tech their show?
Yeah, so they can tech their show. They have 80 minutes to get out there. Everybody's got the same light plot. You can get out there and adjust the lights and see where, how the wings are and all other stuff, and see. And then you perform your show, and we try to do them in groups of 3 or 4, and and then oftentimes we'll either do them in groups, adjudicate them in groups, or adjudicate them one at a time. The adjudicators will come out. Everybody who participated in the last show will be out sitting in the audience seats, and then they go into a spiel, what it is that they thought might be what was successful and what might be more successfully accomplished in perhaps a slightly different way. And
so who won this year? Do you recall?
Ghostlight Theater, Ghostlight Theater Company of New England, because there's a Ghostlight down in Massachusetts as well. Apparently Ghostlight is a popular name for...
I guess so.
Yeah. So they did an original piece that they had actually run a playwriting contest for soliciting. Their stock and trade for Ghostlight is sort of edgy type material, and so they did a playwriting contest in the previous 6 months, and this was the winning production or winning script, and they performed it and they were successful.
So where do they go from here now?
Nowhere, because this is non-regional.
So it's just
year. It's just a bragging rights. Get your name on the trophy plaque, and that the trophy moves around from whatever organization was the last winning or best production.
Is it always in September?
It's been pretty much every month of the year except probably December.
No. So when is it next year?
We haven't set a date yet because most venues don't open their calendar until January. We'll probably be looking at the community, the auditorium, the Concord City Auditorium in Concord, as it seems to be quite a successful venue.
It's a nice theater.
And it's reasonably priced. Reasonably. Yeah, so that's a key, because there aren't too many, in an organization like us, our organization, it's trying to find revenue streams are pretty far and few between.
Yeah.
So.
Have you talked with Virginia Lupi?
The name sounds familiar, but I'm not familiar.
I had her on one of my earlier podcasts. She has a lot to do with money that's being given out for projects.
Mm-hmm.
She's in Concord, some governmental group, but she is tasked with giving away $5 million a year or something to Theater Kapow. Gets grants from them.
I definitely will be getting her number.
Yeah, you should. I mean,
Virginia.
Yeah. So
write that down here, Virginia.
I had a piece of paper for Lupi, Lupi.
Yeah.
If you get chance,
yeah,
you can go look up the podcast, and she gives her information, contact information in the podcast.
Yeah. I imagine she's in the.
Is it the New Hampshire State Council for the?
Yeah,
Arts
that's my
that.
guess. Yeah.
So a great resource. I mean, if nothing else, she can at least point you.
Oh, God, yeah.
She said there's groups who come in, and they'll help you grant write. They'll walk you through the process and hold your hand through the whole thing if you need a grant.
I got a couple of grants a number of years ago from New Hampshire Council on the Arts. This was back in like the 2000s. And then they changed back when the grant funding dried up. When they slowly came back, they changed the formatting. And so I have to go back and relook at that. But
give her a jingle.
Yeah, I will.
She's going to be a great asset for you.
Yeah, it would be great to have somebody on the inside helping us pull. Trying to push your rope is. Not a very.
Your project is so great. I mean, it's not just like it's not just one town. I mean, you're facilitating this project throughout the state, which is really, really good. And the fact that it's educational, and the fact that it is communal is, so you touch all the, I think you would be checking off a lot of the boxes that would help you a lot.
Oh yeah. So, yep. So yeah, I'm thinking that when, we'll have to sort of poll the existing members of NHCTA and find out, what they think might be a good time for them to participate in the festival. But it seems like mid-September seems to be kind of successful.
Yeah.
Or it has been over the past maybe 10 years or so. But they've held it in March, they've held it in June.
I would think June would be a tough time. Summertime?
Yeah.
People traveling, they're outside.
Oh, yeah. We had it at the Palace Theater in June. Oh, boy,
really?
It was warm.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Do you get much? Do people come watch it, like outsiders who have nothing to do? Do you find anybody being drawn?
Yeah, you have... it's tough.
Yeah.
Because New Hampshire isn't really a theater state.
Yeah, there's pockets.
If that makes
like
sense.
Portsmouth.
Yeah. But you get occasional people that I make sure they're on the mailing list so they know when we're going to be performing the festival, and they do come by on a regular basis because there are so few. I know. I recognize them. Yeah. But you're right. I mean, it's in order to do theater, you do need to have a theater audience, and it's tough. It's tough because a lot of people are like, gee, I don't know, why should I spend $15 to go see a play when I can go spend $12 to see a movie
that's been reviewed, that could be popular.
Exactly. And I think a lot of it is education. It's like, gosh, I don't know if I could just get some of these people in the audience, because we do get the stragglers that maybe aren't moving fast enough and I get up to them and I get them a flyer in their hand, and they say, and they finally come and they're like, wow, I thought it was so good, I didn't even know, but I think getting over that expectation of what it is they're actually going to see is very hard. I don't think people understand that there's talent everywhere.
Yeah.
Talent is, that's why actors get paid nothing most of the time. Because there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent everywhere. It's just, you get, even in New Hampshire, you get people who were top of their class in college and drama, but you can't make a living doing that. And so you come and be a computer engineer or a teacher or whatever.
Does it possess a stigma too, that because it's community theater, that they think they're not going to see something really good?
I don't think people think about it at all, but if they were to think about it, they would probably say, I don't know, it's probably not all that good. They'd probably think, what kind of tech values could you afford, and that type of thing. And a lot of people just aren't aware of theater. Of course, you get certain people who are like, they're always going down to Boston, they're always going to New York, or wherever, and they're going up to Algonquin. Those types of people, and those are a little bit easier to get in because they're familiar with the theatrical canon. They know what it is they're going to expect and everything. I think a lot of people who've never seen much theater or even seen a play or mostly used to TV or movies are like, they're not, they're not aware of, I think, the dynamic that happens between a production and an audience, or can happen between a production and an audience in the theater. I think they're, they're just not familiar.
Back in, I'm going to guess the 80s. We'll get close to closing out here.
Okay.
Back in the 80s, I'm thinking it's the 80s. I was out of state for a while, and then we moved back, so I was thinking of getting back into theater in the region, and I went and saw, I thought it was at the Palace, I think it was at the Palace, a one-act festival.
Oh, it could have been ours.
Yeah, it may have been. I was hoping to see...
What year was it?
It'd been in the late 80s, I think.
Yeah, it was about the time. They did the late 80s to mid-90s. They used the Palace often.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw a production, and I was looking for groups to kind of get involved with, and so I thought, well, this would be kind of a good way to get a feel for what these groups are doing. And I saw a production of Lone Star, and it was done by the Community Players in Concord.
Oh, yeah.
And John Conlon was in it. And I saw it, and I thought, oh my God, I want to get in touch with these people. And I did. And that was how I kind of found my footing back into the state, was to go to that festival and see these different groups doing what they were doing. It was really a great education to get as a barometer, in my opinion, a barometer for the caliber of what I wanted to reach out to. So I can see it being a useful tool that way.
Yeah. But yeah, we're sort of, it's a little bit tougher sell, as I was talking about the logistics and economic impact on an organization, especially a small one, for participating in a festival. It's a little bit harder sell now that there's the New Hampshire Theater Awards, because the New Hampshire Theater Awards could give you similar educational benefits by doing practically nothing as far as your organization goes. The amount of organizational investment would be a lot less. Just doing your normal show and just have people come to see your show.
Because it's adjudicated.
Yeah, exactly. It's adjudicated, and potentially you will get some hopefully useful feedback on if that's what you're looking for. But and EMAC, Eastern Massachusetts Community Theater Association, does something very similar to that themselves. I forget what their Dash Awards, I guess is what they call it, and they send reviewers out to all of their member organizations and that wish to be reviewed.
Oh, that's good. That's nice.
Yeah, and they're geographically kind of cloistered in and around Boston, so it's logistically a little bit. It is a trial to get down to Foxborough and those areas, but a little less so than it might be if you go to Berlin.
Way up there. 4-hour ride, 3-hour ride.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Chuck, thank you so much for coming by.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
I appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to touch on for the NETCs, NHCTA?
No. Just that if there's an organization out there that wants to participate in the NHCTA festival, we'd love to hear from you.
And how do they get in touch with you?
Through the Facebook page, or you can reach me personally at fpierce1804@hotmail.com. That's Franklin, F as in Franklin, one president from New Hampshire, and the date of his birth, Franklin Pierce, fpierce1804@hotmail.com.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Well, Ray, it was a pleasure. Thank you very much for thinking of me.
Thank you for coming by,
Yeah.
man. I'm really glad.